Good afternoon, one. Good afternoon, all. One more time here on your African channel as we continue to have our conversation around the African issues. And I think the first day that we picked up the conversation, which is about 3 days ago, we were talking about Africa having one economy, the one economy towards the building of the African nation that we're talking about. And then the second day we spoke about Africa having one army, Africa having one security army to protect and secure its borders. And thirdly, today I want to speak about Africa having one passport. Africa having one passport. I woke up this morning to some exciting news in East Africa. This is Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. I don't know how many other countries are involved there. They've been able to secure one passport that services their area there, whereby between Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania, going forward, you may just need to have one passport. And I think the President, Kenyatta, released a statement a few months ago where actually the movement between Uganda and Kenya and parts of the African nations was no longer necessary to even carry a passport. Your ID was sufficient to give you access into one of the African countries. And you begin to see a different form of politics that is happening in East Africa, and politics that is happening in the south of Africa, where in the East you are beginning to see them relaxing their border control issues. They are beginning to understand their unity as a region. They are beginning to allow movement of goods and movements of people around, Kampala, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, and people are beginning to have a conversation that is building the region. And brilliant idea. And I think as Africans, we needed to start learning from each other. What is good, we must uphold. What is evil, we must condemn. And this for me is a brilliant idea. And you juxtapose it with what is happening in South Africa, Botswana, Mozambique, Swaziland, Zimbabwe, and of course the other Southern African countries. You begin to see a totally different picture where people are beginning to push each other out of borders, immigration issues, border control issues, stringent rules and regulations, more visas and more permits. And in the midst of all this conversation, you begin to see corruption coming into the space, bribing of immigration officers and stuff like that. And we don't have to glorify the colonial system in all its honesty, that these borders that we glorify are actually foreign borders altogether. They're not African borders. They are Pedi people in Zimbabwe. They are Shangani people in Zimbabwe. They are Venda people in Zimbabwe. They are Ndebele people in Zimbabwe. They are Swazi people in Zimbabwe. They are Xhosa people in Zimbabwe. In case some South Africans did not know that, we need to start informing each other in the similar fashion. And similarly, so they are Shangan people in Mozambique. They are Shangani people in Zimbabwe. They are Ndau people in Zimbabwe. They are Ndau people in Mozambique. They are Swazis in Swaziland. They are Swazis in Mpumalanga. And by all contrast, there are more Swazis people that are in Mpumalanga more than they are in Swaziland. You get to the Tswana people, they are Tswana people in South Africa. They are Tswana people in Botswana. They are Sotho people in South Africa. They are Sotho people in Lesotho. And this issue needs to start to be spoken at a high level of our political, conflicts. That how do you begin to separate a Tswana who is living in Mahikeng, in Mafikeng, with a Tswana that is living in Muchudi, and yet they are all belonging to King Palane, who is on their side there? How do you fight with Sotho people in the Free State, who are directly linked to the Sotho kings of Basotho? How do you fight with the Shangani people in Gazankulu, who are related directly to the Shangani people who are in Guyana? How do you fight the Swazi people in South Africa, who are related directly to the Swazi people who are in Swaziland. The Magagulas are on both sides of the borders. The Mnisis are on both sides of the borders. The Dlaminis are on both sides of the borders. The Mtsenengs are in Lesotho and they are in South Africa. And the Kabos are in Botswana. They are also in South Africa. And we needed to start conversing this thing more honestly as Africans so that we cannot glorify the colonial separation that the colonial masters have put on us. And I've said this 2-3 years ago. Maybe many of you, some of you might not have understood why I was saying what I was saying. My grandmother is Shangaan from Mozambique, from my father's side. My grandmother is Venda from the South African side. My grandfather is Zulu from the Abanguni, who came up with Mzilikas and Lobengula up in Zimbabwe. And my grandfather on my father's side is Karanga. I'm not saying there must be lawlessness, but I'm saying let us be practical in the way in which we think so that we combine our efforts of unity around that when a man who is in Muchudi wants to visit the Palanes that are in Rustenburg, do they need a passport to go and see their own uncle across the borders? We have all these fences and we know that these were done by Afrikaners to make sure that they border control and they manage the movement of people. And they manage the movement of people. The South African issue is quite interesting, on the contrary. Because you pick up the resources in South Africa, you need labor to work in the mines. Now, this is where some of my African political brothers miss it altogether. Because I can guarantee you now that not less than 20 to 30, 40% of all the children who were born in the mines, they are born from migrant labor. These are the Piris from Malawi. These are the Mtimkulus from Zimbabwe. These are the Ngubes from Matebeleland. These are Shanganis from Mozambique. You look at your surnames right now. These are the Makuras, and these are Africans. These are Central African people. And for us to fight over immigration and non-immigration, permanent resident, illegal immigrant, and etc., when the very children who are telling us that we are illegal immigrants in Africa are themselves children of immigrants. The other day, we just lost the mayor of Johannesburg here, a Zimbabwean young man who has contributed immensely to the development of South Africa and the ANC itself. I'm not going to be mentioning your director generals who are running the South African economy, the director generals in the government spaces, in the private spaces, in the parastatals. I cannot talk about the Nigerian doctors who are keeping the medical field running here, the Ghanaian doctors who are helping with the medical system right here. And the list is endless, from movies to music to medicine to education. Walk up to your universities. Tell us how many professors and educationists are there that are foreign educational expertise and professionals who are adding immensely towards the development of the South African economy itself. And you need having one passport that services the region. It is the same mindset that we wanted our South African government, Zambian, Zimbabwean government, Botswana government. Call all your presidents, come together, and Tate Ramaphosa, Honorable Mnangagwa, come up with a solution. How do we begin to deal with the immigration issue that is actually affecting South Africa? Without mixing my words, if right now all the immigrants and illegal immigrants can leave the country, you can close down the restaurant, you can close down some certain key industries. Because when South Africa came into independence, they did not have enough intellectual manpower to deal with the collapse of the apartheid system. The Africans in the region came to South Africa for one reason and two reasons. One, that they were qualified to work in their capacities in South Africa. And number two, there were greener pastures. And thirdly, there was the demand for their skills. You are the same people who come to me and teach me about supply and demand. And people come and work where they are appreciated. And we're still in some certain countries, there were issues of political instability, and people who were educated did not want to become part of that struggle. They would rather take their families and move away. I'm one of those people who did that. Graduated, educated, came to South Africa here, 1992, did what I could do here, moved over into Swaziland, moved over into London, came back here in 2004, not for any reason that I'm running away from my country, but I just wanted to source a better future, a better place where I can bring up my children. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are South Africans who are living in Nigeria. There are South Africans who are living in London. There are South Africans who are living in Australia. There are South Africans who are living in Botswana and everywhere else in the world. There is no reason for us to begin to think that we can separate each other using cheap political gimmicks and fighting and beating each other. Here is Ndlovu in South Africa beating a show from Zimbabwe. You're beating your relative, for crying out loud. How can you begin to separate yourself if you actually understand our own connections as Africans? Kiva kwena, bana Gushungo, the Ngwenyas and the Ngwenyas from Mozambique to Malawi, to Zambia, to South Africa, to Botswana, to Lesotho, to Swaziland. The Ngwenya people are there. It's one tribe. You are the Ngwenyas. Which breaks away all the border control issues. Our culture must be a solution through which we can begin to deal with border control issues. We cannot be separated by white people constantly. And in the midst of telling Zimbabweans to go back to their country, Somalians, go back to their country, go to the Chinese people, go to the white people, go to the Afrikaners, and tell them to go back to their own country. And you say so. Some of us have married in the countries here. We have children in the country here. We are contributing to the infrastructure of the country here. We are also meaningful citizens who are adding value to the economy. And it cannot be right. It cannot be right, not by a Sunday, not by a Wednesday, not by a political party or a religious organization, people to fight and kill each other over a piece of wire that you put at a fence to protect people not to go to the other side of town. We need one passport. Not only one passport in East Africa, we need one passport South to Ethiopia, to South Africa, to Zambia. We need to start talking the free movement of the African people. That's how you build a great nation. See what America has done. 52 countries coming together, 52 states coming together, forming one state, one big state, the American dream. And here we are with the 52 leaders that cannot agree that we as Africans belong to Africa. We now back to colonial days where we are using the same immigration laws of restricting people movement around their own continent. China has united. Europe has united. Africa is still caught in petty politics. Petty politics. My country, do you have a country? Where is your continent? If this is your country, where is your continent? And we forget that our small African countries are part of the African continent. We need to start talking, how do we build a continent so that we can compete with Europe, we can compete with America, we can compete with India, we can compete with China, we can compete with Australia. The same resources the colonialists are coming to get in Africa, if we unite together and we can put our skills together, intellectual skills together, we can build an economy that is solid, which can compete pound for pound, yen for yen, euro for euro, with an African dollar. And if we can put our army together, we stop putting armies on borders, put armies at the sea, put armies at the airports, protect the continent. The continent is bigger than your country. And I want to say something that is very interesting. If you want to know the value of the African child, those of you who have done mathematics and those of you who have done actuarial science, I will repeat this again. I said it on one of the programs a few months ago. You need to take all the grass that is in Africa. Give me the value of the grass. Take all the trees in Africa. Give me the value of the trees. Take all the water in Africa. Give me the value of the water. Take the air in Africa. Give me the value of the air. Take the minerals in Africa. Give me the value of that. Take the manpower in Africa. Give me the value of that. Add up all these values and variables together. Add all of them together. You'll have a big figure like this at the bottom. Divide that figure by the population of Africa. You will find the value of one African child. Do you know your value as Africans? What are you? What's your value as an African? What is your value as an African? And by the way, when we unite as a continent, your value as countries will increase greatly, because the resources in Congo, the resources in Nigeria, the resources in Zimbabwe, the resources in South Africa will even improve the values of countries that don't have as much resources as they are. There is value in us coming together as a continent, and we divide our resources to the population that we have on the continent. That becomes a solution. For that reason, we need one African economy. Put our resources together, benchmark our currency. We need one army to protect Africans from those that are outside of Africa. Number 3, we need one passport to allow the free movement of Africans amongst each other. Free movement of Africans amongst each other. Free movement of goods and services. And listen to me, South Africa, very carefully. When you close the border between Zimbabwe and South Africa, the resources that people are coming to buy here, when they can move freely between Zimbabwe and South Africa, you won't have as many people coming here to come and buy the goods, because we can also buy them in our country. But with border control issues, you tend to restrict the value and the products and services that are found across the border. That's why people are running here to come and buy TVs, to come and buy radios, to come and buy fertilizers and etc. But if we can reduce our export duty border control issues and allow goods to move between Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia and Congo, they will not have to drive to Durban to come and pick up goods from there, because goods can move to Kenya, goods can move to Zaire, goods can move to Zimbabwe, and people can access these services close to their doors. Don't take it for granted. People who are traveling are not enjoying themselves. They are suffering because they are looking for resources, and those resources are locked by the governments who close borders and refuse goods to move freely between countries. People are coming to collect goods. Lift up the borders, and people will not come to South Africa here to come and be harassed in the country. We can buy the same goods in our own countries. Therefore, border control becomes an inhibitive factor of imports and exports, results in illegal movement of countries because people are trying to access resources which you as a government are locking because you're closing the borders. Open up the borders. Let people move. Those who want to stay, stay. Those who want to buy and go back can go back. And I can guarantee you that if we can relax our export and our border control issues, people will come here, buy what they want, and they go back home. Even as I'm here as a Zimbabwean, I don't want to die in South Africa. I'm going back home to die in my own country. I cannot die here as a foreigner in the context of that I'm an illegal immigrant. I'll die in Africa, but I'd rather make money and go back to my own people, back home to my village, and enjoy money with my own people, do my own dances, and enjoy my life also, as you are enjoying your life in your own countries. Borders are a limiting factor to the development of Africa. Import and export duty, border control issues are destroying the African economy. Restrictive laws and police wasting money on armies and soldiers and police to patrol borders. Useless money that you are spending. Valuable resources can be used for that kind of money. Relax the border controls, throw away local passports, give us an African passport through which we can move freely on the continent. And we will not come to your country unless there is something we want to buy from your country, unless I value that I can add to your country, unless there are skills that I need in your country. We don't come here to be poaching and running around and stealing. Yes, there are some who are stealing. Some of us are not thieves at all. We're here because we are adding value. We're adding value. And we're getting paid for it. Relax the border control issues and allow people to move freely and buy the goods where they want them. And by so doing, Africa can begin to move freely from Madagascar to the Atlantic Ocean, from Egypt to Cairo, and around Africa. Let people begin to do business. Those that want to learn about oil can go to Sudan and Nigeria, even if they're South Africans. Those that want to learn about cocoa can go where the countries are producing cocoa. Those that want to learn about tourism can go to Kenya and learn about tourism. And by the way, congratulations, South Africa, for uniting the South African Airways with the Kenya Airways to begin to build a Pan-African airline. Pan-African airline. And I hope that Rwanda is listening. And I hope that Zambia is listening. I hope that Zimbabwe is listening. I hope that Botswana is listening. Stop idolizing your 2, 3, 4 aeroplanes that are parked at your airport. Take those aeroplanes, put them in a pool, let's develop one big pan-African airline so that we can patronize our own airspace and allow our people to move freely, to do business. Transport and communication are key. Politics is an enabler to creating that environment that is conducive. And I'm happy to have spent a few moments with you here as we discuss the African problems. Let us continue to have this conversation. It will not stop. And by the way, some of our West enemies are not European enemies, are our own African brothers and sisters. You can even see from the comments that are coming up here. You don't need to become part of this page if you don't intend to become part of the development of Africa. So don't torture yourself coming to Farmers of Thought page with your small little neo-colonial mindset. We are here to develop a continent, not develop small little minded people. Let's think together. Let's work together. Let's put our act together as Africans. Allow for one economy. Allow for one army. Number 3, allow for one passport. One passport for the African people. With those few words, I thank you and I hope to see you again. Share the videos with your presidents. Share your videos with your politicians. Share the video with your